My dear brothers and sisters, there are moments in life when a single sentence changes the way we see everything. Sometimes just one verse from the Quran can open the heart, calm the mind, and guide the soul toward light. Today, we are about to reflect on one powerful verse that mentions 6 life-changing things. 6 reminders so profound that if truly understood, they can reshape the way we think, the way we live, and the way we face our struggles. Many of us search for peace, direction, and answers. We ask ourselves why life feels heavy, why the heart sometimes feels distant, and why we continue to struggle despite trying so hard. But Allah, in His infinite mercy, has already placed guidance in His words. One verse, just one, contains wisdom that can strengthen your faith, improve your character, heal your pain, and bring you closer to the purpose for which you were created. There are moments in life when a person feels completely surrounded by darkness, confusion, and uncertainty. The heart becomes heavy, the mind becomes restless, and every path seems unclear. In such moments, people often search everywhere for answers. They seek advice from others, read books, listen to speeches, and try different ways to find peace. Yet sometimes the greatest transformation begins not with many words, but with a single verse from the Quran. One verse has the power to reach a heart in a way nothing else can. It can awaken a sleeping soul, soften a hardened heart, and completely change the direction of a person's life. The words of Allah are unlike any other words. They are not merely sentences to be read, they are divine guidance sent by the Creator who knows every pain hidden in the chest, every tear that falls in silence, and every thought that no one else can understand. When Allah speaks to us through His book, He speaks directly to the human condition. He addresses fear, grief, weakness, hope, patience, purpose, and faith. This is why one verse can transform an entire life. It enters the heart at the exact place where healing is needed. Think about a person who has spent years feeling hopeless. They may have made mistakes, committed sins, or gone through trials that made them feel distant from Allah. Then one day they come across a verse that reminds them of Allah's mercy. Suddenly everything changes. The heart that was drowning in despair begins to breathe again. The person realizes that no matter how far they have gone, the door of repentance remains open. One verse becomes the reason they return to prayer, the reason they change their habits, and the reason they begin a new chapter of life. Sometimes the transformation happens through a verse about patience. A person facing hardship may feel that life is unfair, that their struggles will never end. But when they read a verse reminding them that Allah is with those who are patient, something shifts inside them. Their pain may not disappear immediately, but their perspective changes. They begin to see hardship not as punishment, but as a means of purification, growth, and closeness to Allah. The same test remains, yet the heart facing it becomes stronger because of one divine reminder. There are also those who live life without clear purpose. They wake up every day, follow routines, chase worldly goals, and still feel an emptiness that nothing seems to fill. Then they come across a verse that reminds them why they were created. In that moment, life gains meaning. Their priorities begin to change. What once seemed most important becomes secondary, and what they had neglected, their relationship with Allah, becomes central. One verse can redirect an entire life from distraction to devotion. The beauty of the Quran is that its verses meet every person exactly where they are. For someone broken, it offers healing. For someone lost, it offers direction. For someone arrogant, it offers humility. For someone weak, it offers strength. This is why transformation through one verse is not something surprising. It is the nature of divine revelation. Allah's words are alive in the sense that they continue to touch hearts across every generation, every culture, and every circumstance. History itself gives us countless examples of lives changed by a single verse. Many people who once lived in darkness found light through one ayah. A person may hear a verse they have heard many times before, but on a particular day, at a particular moment in life, it strikes differently. The heart is ready, the soul is open, and the message lands with power. What was once simply recited becomes deeply understood. The real transformation begins when the verse moves from the tongue to the heart and from the heart to action. It is not enough to simply admire the beauty of the words. The power lies in allowing those words to shape our choices, our reactions, and our values. A verse about forgiveness should make us more forgiving. A verse about gratitude should make us more thankful. A verse about trust in Allah should make us less anxious about what lies ahead. Sometimes people underestimate the impact of a single reminder. They think change requires something dramatic, something large, something visible. But Allah often changes hearts through what seems small to us. One verse recited after Fajr, one line read in a difficult moment, one ayah heard during prayer, these can become the turning points of an entire life. A person may look back years later and realize that everything changed from the moment they truly understood one verse. This is why we must never approach the Quran casually. Every verse carries wisdom, mercy, and power. Even the verse you read today may be the one Allah has chosen to guide you toward a better version of yourself. It may be the verse that saves you from despair, heals your relationship with your Creator, or gives you strength to continue when everything feels impossible. One verse can become the beginning of repentance, the source of inner peace, the reason for renewed hope, and the foundation of a transformed life, because when the words of Allah settle deeply into the heart, they begin to change everything from the inside out, slowly shaping the thoughts, the actions, the character, and the soul, until the person who once felt broken starts walking a path of light, purpose, and unwavering faith in a way they never imagined before. Within a single verse of the Quran, there can be oceans of wisdom that the human mind may spend a lifetime trying to understand. What appears to be only a few words often carries meanings so deep that they touch every part of life, our faith, our emotions, our relationships, our struggles, and our future. This is the beauty of divine revelation. The words are brief, yet the guidance is endless. Hidden within one ayah are layers of meaning that continue to unfold every time it is read with sincerity and reflection. Allah does not speak without purpose. Every word in the Quran is placed with perfect wisdom, and every verse contains lessons meant to guide the believer. Sometimes a single ayah carries multiple commands, several promises, warnings, and spiritual lessons all at once. This is why scholars spend years reflecting on one verse, uncovering meanings that strengthen the heart and illuminate the mind. For the believer, one verse is never just a verse. It is a treasure chest of divine wisdom waiting to be opened. There are verses that teach us how to deal with pain. In only a few words, Allah reminds us that hardship is never permanent and that ease always follows difficulty. Those words may seem simple, but within them lies a life-changing truth. They teach patience, resilience, hope, and trust. A person going through grief may read such a verse and suddenly realize that their suffering is not meaningless. It becomes a reminder that every trial carries wisdom, every delay has a purpose, and every tear is seen by Allah. Some verses carry wisdom about human relationships. They teach kindness, justice, forgiveness, and compassion. One line can remind us to lower our anger, control our tongue, and treat others with dignity. The divine wisdom in such a verse changes not only the individual, but the family, the community, and the society around them. A single reminder from Allah about good character can heal broken relationships and restore peace where there was conflict. Then there are verses that contain wisdom about the temporary nature of this world. We often become deeply attached to worldly success, wealth, status, and the opinions of people. Yet Allah reminds us through His words that this life is only a journey, not the final destination. Such wisdom changes the way a person sees loss and gain. What once felt like a major defeat may now be seen as a test, and what once seemed like success may now be understood as a responsibility. One verse can completely transform how we define victory in life. Divine wisdom is also hidden in the way the Quran speaks directly to the human heart. Allah knows the fears we carry, the doubts we hide, and the struggles we face silently. Sometimes a verse answers a question we never even asked aloud. A person may be confused about their future, burdened by regret, or afraid of what is to come, and then they encounter an ayah that brings immediate calm. It feels as if the words were revealed specifically for that moment. This is part of the miracle of the Quran. Its wisdom reaches every soul according to its need. One verse may mention gratitude, but within that reminder is an entire way of living. It teaches us to focus on blessings rather than burdens, to recognize Allah's mercy in the smallest details of life, and to understand that gratitude itself increases blessings. What begins as a simple instruction becomes a principle that changes the way a person wakes up, speaks, thinks, and interacts with life. Likewise, a verse about trust in Allah contains immense wisdom. It teaches that while human beings plan, strive, and work hard, ultimate control belongs to Allah alone. This wisdom frees the heart from excessive anxiety. It does not remove effort, rather it balances effort with reliance on the Creator. A believer learns to do their best while leaving the outcome to Allah, and this balance brings a peace that the world cannot offer. The wisdom hidden in one verse is also timeless. A verse revealed over 14 centuries ago still speaks powerfully to modern struggles. Whether the challenge is stress, loneliness, fear, injustice, temptation, or heartbreak, the Quran continues to provide guidance. This timelessness is itself a sign of its divine source. Human words often lose relevance over time, but Allah's words remain alive in every age and every circumstance. Sometimes the wisdom of a verse is not fully understood immediately. A person may read the same ayah many times throughout life, and each time it reveals something new depending on what they are going through. In youth, it may teach discipline. In hardship, it may teach patience. In success, it may teach humility. The same verse continues to offer new insights because divine wisdom is deeper than the surface meaning of the words. This is why reflection is so important. The Quran is not meant only to be recited beautifully, it is meant to be pondered deeply. When a person pauses on a single verse and asks, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" the hidden wisdom begins to unfold. It may reveal something about the self, expose a weakness in character, or offer a solution to a struggle the person has been carrying for years. The more sincerely a person reflects, the more treasures they discover within the verse. One ayah may contain guidance for the heart, discipline for the soul, correction for behavior, and hope for the future all at once. Such is the power of divine speech. It is concise in words but vast in meaning, simple in form yet limitless in depth, and capable of transforming the one who truly listens with an open heart, allowing the wisdom of Allah's words to shape every thought, every decision, and every step they take through life until that one verse becomes a source of guidance they continue to carry with them in every season of their journey. There are certain moments in life when a single reminder from the Quran does more than comfort the heart. It changes the way a person thinks, lives, and responds to the world around them. This is exactly what happens when one verse contains 6 life-changing lessons. Such a verse is not merely a collection of words, it is a complete roadmap for the soul. Each lesson speaks to a different part of human life, and together they form a powerful message capable of transforming the heart from within. The first lesson often begins with awareness. Before any real change can happen, a person must become aware of their condition, their weaknesses, their distractions, and their distance from Allah. Many people move through life on autopilot, unaware of how far they have drifted spiritually. But one verse can awaken that awareness. It acts like a mirror, showing a person who they truly are and where they need to improve. This awakening is often the first step toward transformation because change begins the moment the heart recognizes its need for guidance. The second lesson is hope. Life can be overwhelming. People carry pain, failures, regrets, and fears that sometimes make them feel trapped. Yet within the divine words of Allah is always a message of hope. Even when the verse speaks of warning or accountability, it also reminds us of mercy, forgiveness, and the possibility of returning to the right path. Hope gives the soul strength to continue. It reminds the believer that no matter how difficult life becomes, Allah's mercy is greater than any hardship. The third lesson is patience. Every human being faces trials. Some are tested with loss, some with delay, some with loneliness, and others with uncertainty. A powerful verse often teaches that patience is not weakness but strength. It is the ability to hold on to faith even when answers are delayed. It is trusting Allah when life does not unfold according to our plans. This lesson changes the way a person faces difficulty. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they begin to ask, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" The fourth lesson is gratitude. One of the most life-changing shifts a person can experience is moving from focusing on what is missing to recognizing what has already been given. A verse that reminds us of blessings changes our perspective completely. Suddenly, the heart begins to notice things it once ignored: the breath in the lungs, the peace of prayer, the love of family, the ability to wake up to another day. Gratitude softens the heart and brings contentment. It teaches that true richness is not in possessions, but in recognizing Allah's favors. The fifth lesson is trust in Allah. Human beings naturally worry about the future. We fear outcomes, rejection, failure, and uncertainty. But when one verse teaches reliance upon Allah, it removes a huge burden from the heart. Trust does not mean inaction. Rather, it means doing your best while knowing that the final result rests with the one who controls everything. This lesson changes anxiety into peace. It allows a person to move forward with courage, knowing that whatever Allah decrees is ultimately for their good. The sixth lesson is purpose. Many people struggle because they do not understand why they are here. They chase goals, status, and worldly achievements, yet still feel empty inside. A verse that reminds us of our purpose brings clarity. It teaches that life is not random and that every moment carries meaning. Worship, good character, kindness, patience, and striving for the sake of Allah all become part of a higher purpose. This realization changes how a person spends their time, chooses their priorities, and defines success. What makes these 6 lessons so powerful is that they are interconnected. Awareness leads to hope. Hope strengthens patience. Patience opens the door to gratitude. Gratitude deepens trust. Trust clarifies purpose. Together they build a complete transformation of the heart. A person who once lived in despair begins to live with faith. Someone overwhelmed by stress begins to find calm through trust in Allah. A heart filled with complaints becomes a heart filled with gratitude. A life driven by worldly pressure becomes a life guided by divine purpose. This is why a single verse can truly change a life. It addresses the heart at every level. Sometimes people think real transformation requires many speeches, many books, or years of learning, but Allah's words are unique. In a single verse, He can place enough wisdom to guide a person for a lifetime. Each lesson continues to reveal itself in different stages of life. In hardship, the lesson of patience becomes most visible. In success, gratitude becomes essential. In uncertainty, trust becomes the anchor. The beauty of these 6 lessons is that they are practical, not abstract. They are meant to be lived. Hope changes how you wake up in the morning. Patience changes how you react to setbacks. Gratitude changes how you see your blessings. Trust changes how you face the unknown. Purpose changes every decision you make. When a person truly absorbs these lessons, they do not remain the same. Their speech changes, their character changes, their reactions change, and even the way they carry themselves changes. There is a calmness that comes from knowing Allah is guiding every step. And this is the miracle of one verse containing 6 life-changing truths. It takes a heart that feels scattered and gives it direction, takes a soul that feels tired and gives it strength, and takes a life that feels empty and fills it with meaning until every day becomes an opportunity to live closer to Allah, stronger in faith, richer in gratitude, deeper in patience, and more certain that every part of this journey is leading towards something greater than what the eyes can currently see. Faith, patience, and trust in Allah are among the most powerful forces that can transform a person's life from the inside out. When a single verse reminds us of these 3 qualities, it does not merely offer comfort for a moment. It provides a foundation upon which an entire life can be rebuilt. These are not just spiritual concepts to be admired from a distance. They are living principles meant to guide the heart through every season of life, through moments of ease, times of hardship, and periods of uncertainty when nothing seems clear. Faith is where everything begins. It is the light that gives meaning to life and direction to the soul. Without faith, a person may have knowledge, wealth, and worldly success, yet still feel an emptiness that nothing seems to fill. Faith gives purpose to pain and meaning to struggle. It reminds us that we are never alone, even in our darkest moments. When the world turns away, when people misunderstand us, and when life becomes heavy, faith whispers to the heart that Allah sees everything. True faith is not only believing in moments of comfort. The real strength of faith appears when life becomes difficult. It is easy to say we trust Allah when everything is going well, but faith is truly tested when plans fall apart, when prayers seem delayed, and when the future feels uncertain. In those moments, faith becomes the anchor that keeps the heart from drowning in despair. It reminds us that Allah's wisdom is far greater than our understanding, and that what we cannot see today may become clear tomorrow. Alongside faith comes patience. Patience is one of the greatest signs of inner strength. Many people misunderstand patience as simply waiting quietly, but in reality, patience is active. It is remaining steadfast in obedience, controlling emotions during trials, and refusing to lose hope when life becomes difficult. Patience means continuing to pray even when the answer has not yet arrived. It means continuing to trust Allah when circumstances suggest otherwise. Every person faces tests in life. Some are tested with financial difficulty, some with family issues, some with loneliness, illness, heartbreak, or delayed success. The trial itself may differ, but the need for patience remains the same. A patient heart understands that hardship is not permanent. It recognizes that every difficulty carries wisdom, purification, and an opportunity to grow closer to Allah. Patience also protects a person from making destructive decisions in moments of pain. When emotions become intense, people sometimes act in ways they later regret. But patience creates space between feeling and reaction. It allows the believer to respond with wisdom instead of impulse. This is why patience is such a life-changing quality. It protects both the heart and the future. Then comes trust in Allah, one of the deepest forms of peace a believer can experience. Trust means knowing that after you have done your part, the outcome belongs entirely to Allah. It means surrendering control over what lies beyond your reach. Human beings naturally worry because we want certainty. We want to know how things will turn out, when our prayers will be answered, and why certain things happen. But trust teaches the heart to rest in the knowledge that Allah's plan is always wiser than our own. Trust in Allah does not remove effort. In fact, it works hand in hand with action. A believer strives, works hard, makes sincere dua, and takes all possible means, but at the same time, they leave the final result to Allah. This balance between effort and reliance is what brings true peace. Without trust, effort becomes anxiety. With trust, effort becomes worship. There is immense beauty in living with trust. When doors close, trust reminds you that Allah may be protecting you from something harmful. When opportunities are delayed, trust reminds you that Allah's timing is perfect. When life does not go according to your plan, trust reminds you that perhaps Allah is preparing something better than what you imagined. Faith, patience, and trust are deeply connected. Faith gives the heart certainty. Patience gives it endurance. Trust gives it peace. Together they create a believer who can withstand life's storms without losing direction. A person with faith knows that every hardship has meaning. A person with patience knows that every hardship has an end. A person with trust knows that every hardship is under Allah's control. These qualities change the way a person experiences life. Problems that once seemed unbearable become manageable because the heart is no longer carrying them alone. The believer learns to place their worries before Allah in prayer, their fears before Him in dua, and their hopes before Him in complete reliance. Even in moments of pain, there is a calmness that comes from knowing that Allah never abandons His servants. Sometimes the greatest transformation in life is not the removal of hardship, but the strengthening of the heart within hardship. Faith keeps the soul connected to Allah, patience keeps it firm during trials, and trust keeps it peaceful about the future. This is why one verse that reminds us of these three qualities can truly change a life. It teaches us not just how to survive difficulty, but how to grow through it. It teaches us to walk through uncertainty with dignity, through pain with strength, and through waiting with hope, knowing that every delay, every challenge, and every unanswered question is part of a greater wisdom written by the one who loves His servants more than they can ever comprehend. And once this understanding settles deeply into the heart, the believer begins to move through life with a quiet strength that no hardship can easily break, and a peace that comes only from being firmly connected to Allah in every moment of existence.